Madara Uchiha. Personally, I like to rank from the bottom to the top, so I'm putting this guy first. Honestly, Madara could have been a Shadow Hokage already. Together with Hashirama Senju, he laid the foundation for Konoha. In fact, he was the one who came up with the name Konohagakure. Madara's original vision of a village where ninja could live in peace is something we have to respect, but his trust slowly faded away. He started to feel like the Uchiha clan was being pushed out of power, and he feared that his people would be oppressed. That fear made him abandon the very village he helped build. He left Konoha and came back to attack it using the power of the Nine Tails. That betrayal completely erased his name from the village's proud history. So yeah, I'm just mentioning him here, but I'm not giving him a rank. If anyone deserves the title of the first Shadow Hokage, it should be Hashirama Senju. Hashirama Senju was the right-hand man that the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, couldn't do without. As Hashirama's younger brother, Hashirama was a unique figure who not only supported his brother, but also eventually succeeded him as the second Hokage. The early days of Konoha were full of chaos, with threats from Madara and other enemy forces. It was a time that called for tough decisions, ones that Hashirama, with his kind and forgiving nature, sometimes couldn't bring himself to make. That's where Hashirama stepped in. He took on the hard jobs, including overseeing the Uchiha clan, whose loyalty he always questioned after Madara's departure. In terms of strength, Hashirama was one of the greatest shinobi of his era. He was known as a master of water style and created some truly groundbreaking jutsu, like the Flying Thunder God, which was later perfected by Minato Namikaze and the Edo Tensei, basically King of Forbidden Jutsu. Oh, and let's not forget, he went head-to-head with the Ginkaku brothers and 20 other S-rank enemies. Absolute beast. Hashirama's contributions to Konoha were massive and foundational. He created most of the systems and institutions that still existed even in Naruto's time. The Ninja Academy, the Anbu Black Ops, the mission ranking system, and even the Konoha military police force, which was later handed over to the Uchiha, were all established by him. While Hashirama focused on peace and building relationships between villages, Hashirama focused on organizing the internal structure of the leaf, making sure it ran smoothly and stayed stable. He also set up the Advisory Council to prevent too much power from being concentrated in the hands of the Hokage alone. Have you ever noticed how every Hokage seems buried in paperwork and responsibilities, while Hashirama just sat there with an empty desk, chill as ever? Well, that's probably because he had a genius little brother to dump all the work on. Hashirama literally built the village. Like, actually built it. But I still wouldn't rank him that high. That's because he was always out in the open, standing right next to Hashirama, playing more of an official advisor role, rather than someone truly working from the shadows. But if we define the Shadow Hokage as the person who makes the tough calls the actual Hokage either can't or won't make, then yeah, Hashirama was basically the first one to truly embody that role. Danzo Shimura is probably the most controversial example of what it means to be a Shadow Hokage, and that's exactly why he deserves the number 5 spot on this list. As the leader of Root, Danzo basically ran the dark side of Konoha's machine for decades, all behind the scenes. He was Hiruzen Sarutobi's old friend and rival back in their youth, and he never let go of his ambition to become Hokage himself. Danzo always believed that his more hardline approach was the only real way to protect the village. While Hiruzen followed the will of fire and preached compassion, Danzo represented the darkness of the light, taking on the dirty missions no Hokage could ever publicly admit to. In terms of power, Danzo was strong, but not on the same level as the top-tier characters. He specialized in wind release, and his right arm was implanted with multiple Sharingan eyes taken from Uchiha clan members. Plus, he had Hashirama Senju's cells in him too. This combo gave him the ability to spam Izanagi like it was nothing. During his fight with Sasuke, Danzo dodged death multiple times using Izanagi, but it also exposed his biggest weakness. He relied way too much on stolen powers rather than his own real strength. He also had a summoning contract with Baku, a giant monster that could suck everything into its mouth. But honestly, that didn't give him any major edge in battle. Giving him a 6'10" in power feels about right, especially since he completely went into hiding when serious threats like Pain attacked the village. Like, come on, man. What's the point of all that power If you're just gonna use it to fight one edgy teenager, Danzo's contributions to Konoha are probably the trickiest part to evaluate. On the plus side, Root, under his leadership, handled tons of secret missions, from assassinating potential threats to infiltrating rival villages for intel. These actions did help keep Konoha stable and secure in the shadows. But Danzo's methods always came with a heavy cost. His worst decision, without a doubt, was ordering the massacre of the entire Uchiha clan, which led to a domino effect of tragedies afterward. He also teamed up with Orochimaru at one point, allowing unethical human experiments, and he was even involved in the death of Yahiko, the original founder of Akatsuki, which indirectly gave rise to Pain, the guy who later wrecked the whole village. With mistakes that massive, a 5/10 contribution score feels totally fair. Oh, and let's not forget, he once even tried to assassinate Hiruzen. Yeah, real team player right there. If we're talking strengths, secrecy was probably Danzo's greatest weapon as a Shadow Hokage. Root was so deep in the shadows that even Hiruzen himself didn't always know what they were up to. Members of Root weren't allowed to show emotion. They had cursed seals on their tongues, so they literally couldn't spill secrets about Danzo, and they only took orders from him directly. Every mission, assassination, espionage, political manipulation, was done quietly, with no trace left behind. But despite being the ultimate behind-the-scenes guy, Danzo clearly wasn't satisfied with just pulling strings. His public ambition to become Hokage, like when he straight up appointed himself as the 6th Hokage after Tsunade fell into a coma, shows that he wanted the spotlight too. Overall, Danzo kind of twisted the role of Shadow Hokage into a tool for chasing his own goals rather than truly protecting the village. But he genuinely believed everything he did was for the good of Konoha. That's why Danzo doesn't deserve a higher spot on the Shadow Hokage list. Too much ambition, not enough actual loyalty. Hiruzen Sarutobi. Hiruzen Sarutobi is a unique case on the Shadow Hokage list because he actually took on the role of an advisor to the 4th Hokage, Minato, after already serving as the official Hokage himself. This period under Minato's leadership came right after the end of the Third Great Ninja War and peaked with the disaster of the Nine-Tails attack on the village. During this chaotic time, Hiruzen brought much-needed stability and valuable experience to the new administration, while still keeping some distance so Minato could develop his own leadership style. And we clearly saw this in action when Obito manipulated Kurama to attack Konoha. Hiruzen immediately stepped up to lead the village's ninja forces to fight the beast, while Minato focused on the root cause of the attack. In terms of power, even though Hiruzen was already in his 50s, he was still a serious threat. Known as the Professor, he had mastered every jutsu known in the Leaf Village. He had a summoning contract with the Monkey King Enma, who could turn into the adamantine staff. That combo made Hiruzen a well-rounded fighter, strong in both offense and defense. With all that in mind, a 7/10 rating for his strength is totally fair. It shows he was still powerful, just not at his absolute peak anymore. When it comes to his contributions as a Shadow Hokage, Hiruzen mainly supported Minato in managing the village and helping stabilize things after the war. After the tragic death of the 4th Hokage, Hiruzen even came back to the position of Hokage, showing how deeply committed he was to Konoha. But to be fair, his role during Minato's time wasn't super prominent since the 4th was a brilliant and independent leader who didn't need a ton of outside help. Also, we can't ignore that some of Hiruzen's earlier decisions, especially his failure to keep Danzo and Root in check, led to problems that eventually landed on Minato's plate. So, giving Hiruzen a 6/10 for his contributions feels right. He played a solid part, but it wasn't exactly groundbreaking. The main reason why Hiruzen ranks lower on the Shadow Hokage list is because his presence wasn't really that hidden. He was already a symbol of Konoha, so the whole shadow part of the role didn't really apply to him. Compared to Danzo, Hiruzen clearly had the moral high ground and was way more loyal to the village, but when it comes to operating in secret, he didn't come close. He wasn't exactly an ideal Shadow Hokage. He was more like a leader who had stepped back into the background for a while before returning to the spotlight, rather than someone who truly worked in the shadows to protect the light. Jiraiya. Jiraiya was basically the Shadow Hokage during Tsunade's time as the 5th Hokage. When he was offered the position to succeed Hiruzen, Jiraiya turned it down. Instead, he convinced Tsunade to come back and take the role. That decision came from his belief that he could help Konoha more as a free ninja, not tied down by paperwork and rules, while Tsunade's leadership would give the village the public figure it needed after Orochimaru's attack. During Tsunade's time as Hokage, the village faced serious threats from the Akatsuki, especially Pain and his plan to capture all the tailed beasts. In that dangerous situation, Jiraiya's role as a Shadow Hokage became super important. When it comes to power, Jiraiya was definitely among the top ninjas, and an 8 out of 10 rating is well-deserved. As a master of Sage Mode, he could mix natural energy with his own chakra to reach a whole new level of strength, speed, and awareness. His summoning contract with the Toads of Mount Myoboku gave him access to powerful allies like Gamabunta, Gamaken, and Gamahiro during battles. His peak moment was the fight against Pain in the Hidden Rain village, where he went solo against all 6 Paths of Pain, who, at the time, were seen as some of the deadliest enemies in the ninja world. Even though he died, Jiraiya managed to take down 3 of the Pains and left behind a super important clue about Pain's secret. Pretty impressive, honestly. Jiraiya's contributions to Konoha deserve a near-perfect score of 9/10, reflected in his 2 main roles, training the next generation and investigating secrets. He became Naruto's fateful mentor. Without Jiraiya's training and guidance, it's hard to imagine how Naruto could have reached the strength to defeat Pain, Madara, or eventually become Hokage. At the same time, Jiraiya spent years traveling through the ninja countries, building an intelligence network and gathering information about the Akatsuki. He even chose to sacrifice himself to send back a coded message, revealing the enemy's weakness, information that proved invaluable for Naruto to defeat Pain later and save Konoha from destruction. Jiraiya's level of secrecy in his activities is rated at 7/10, which is one of the reasons he didn't rank higher on the Shadow Hokage list. Although he worked in secret when investigating the Akatsuki, often disguising himself and moving quietly between villages, his legendary Sannin status and charismatic personality made it hard for him to fully blend into the shadows. Overall, Jiraiya was still well known and admired by the public as a ninja who served Konoha. It can be said that Jiraiya was a rare combination of the light of an inspiring legend and the darkness of a quiet ninja protecting the village, a role that few could have handled as well as he did. Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke Uchiha is the Shadow Hokage during the 7th Hokage era, Naruto's time. As Naruto Uzumaki's longtime best friend and ex-rival, Sasuke chose a completely different path after the 4th Great Ninja War, protecting Konoha from the shadows, while Naruto, as the 7th Hokage, faces the challenges of running the village in a time of peace and technological growth. Sasuke chose to travel the world to investigate and stop potential threats before they could reach Konoha, as shown in Boruto. Naruto. Next generations, this period marks the emergence of new dangers from the Otsutsuki clan, foes with powers far beyond what the ninja world had ever known. In this context, Sasuke's role as Shadow Hokage becomes crucial, because no matter how powerful Naruto is, he couldn't protect the village from both within and deal with external threats at the same time. In terms of strength, Sasuke deserves a perfect score of 10/10, being one of the 2 strongest characters in the ninja world, alongside Naruto. He possesses a wide range of powerful skills with his Eternal Mangenkyo Sharingan and Rinnegan. Plus, he's a master of swordsmanship and proficient in multiple chakra types such as Lightning Style and Fire Style. Sasuke's strength has been proven in numerous epic battles, from helping Naruto defeat Kaguya to facing Momoshiki and Kinshiki. His fighting abilities were particularly impressive when he faced Ishiki Otsutsuki, where, even when overwhelmed, Sasuke displayed superior combat and analytical skills. Compared to Naruto, Sasuke has the advantage of a wider variety of techniques and greater flexibility in combat, though he may be slightly weaker in pure raw power. Sasuke's contributions to Konoha as Shadow Hokage deserve a 9/10 score. First, he spent years investigating the traces of the Otsutsuki clan. Second, Sasuke acted as a distant shield for Konoha, preventing countless dangers from reaching the village, such as when he fought Urashiki Otsutsuki in the Boruto anime. Third, his role in training Boruto, Naruto's son, played a vital part in preparing the next generation to protect the village. Sasuke's personal sacrifice is especially impressive. He lived apart from his family for years, choosing to remain isolated to fulfill his mission of protecting Konoha. What makes Sasuke such an excellent Shadow Hokage is his high level of secrecy, like 9-10, in how he operates. Sasuke mainly moves in the shadows, rarely making public appearances in Konoha, and he doesn't seek recognition for his contributions. He often leaves the village for long periods to carry out investigative missions without making them widely known, and sometimes even Naruto doesn't know exactly where he is. When compared to the other Shadow Hokage, Sasuke deserves the second spot on the ranking. Sasuke is the perfect embodiment of a Shadow Hokage in the modern era, a protector who detects and prevents dangers from afar, allowing the Hokage to focus on leading the village in peace. So who could be considered number 1 on this ranking? Probably already guessed, right? Itachi Uchiha. Itachi represents the perfect definition of a Shadow Hokage, a person who silently protects Konoha at all costs, without seeking fame or recognition. Under the leadership of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, Itachi faced one of the most difficult decisions in ninja history: to destroy his own clan to prevent a civil war that could have destroyed all of Konoha. As tensions between the Uchiha clan and the village leaders reached their peak, leading to the Uchiha clan's coup attempt, Itachi saw that a civil war would weaken Konoha against other villages and could lead to a new great ninja war. In terms of strength, Itachi deserves a score of 9-10, only limited by the deadly illness that plagued him for many years. A rare genius of the Uchiha clan, Itachi possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan with Amaterasu, the strongest fire, Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu that could shatter an opponent's mind in an instant, and Susanoo, with 2 legendary weapons, the Yata Mirror, Absolute Defense, and the Totsuka Sword, Eternal Sealing. In addition to this, his superior tactical intelligence, masterful swordsmanship, and ability to use a wide range of jutsu made Itachi a formidable opponent even against the strongest ninjas. Itachi's contribution to Konoha is absolute and deserves a perfect score of 10/10. No other Shadow Hokage paid as high a price as Itachi to protect the village. In addition to personally slaughtering his entire clan, he also joined the Akatsuki as a spy, secretly providing information about their plans to Konoha while preventing other members from attacking the village too soon. Finally, even after his death, Itachi remained the MVP in the war arc when he ended the Edo Tensei. There were no significant mistakes in his contributions, except for the psychological consequences the Uchiha massacre had on Sasuke. But this was an unavoidable outcome of a decision that couldn't be avoided. Itachi's secrecy reaches perfection with a score of 10-10, making him the true definition of a Shadow Hokage. He is the only one on the list of Shadow Hokages who accepted being seen as a traitor by the whole world, cursed by his own village, to fulfill his mission of protecting Konoha. He carried the label of an S-rank criminal, a member of the Akatsuki terrorist organization, and the murderer of his own clan, all to keep the truth of his loyalty secret. Even when facing death at Sasuke's hands, Itachi kept the secret to protect Konoha's honor and his brother's future. He never sought glory or recognition, living in solitude and dying in silence. Not a single moment did Itachi seek honor for his sacrifices, making him the ideal model of a protector from the shadows. Itachi Uchiha deserves the number 1 spot in the Shadow Hokage ranking because of his perfect balance between superior strength, absolute dedication, and flawless secrecy. Compared to Sasuke, ranked 2nd, Itachi made a more direct and vital contribution, while Sasuke operated during a relatively peaceful time. At the same time, Itachi remained completely secretive and accepted a bad reputation, while Sasuke was still recognized as someone who returned to the light. Number 1, no debate. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.